Behind me, I have all the curriculum that we have used this year for homeschooling, and in this video, I'm gonna give you my honest review of all of this. And I got a lot of opinions to share too. Now, I do understand that some curriculum works great with some people, but not so great with others, and I do take that into consideration. So if I don't like something, I'm gonna tell you why. Now, I am a former public and private school teacher. I currently evaluate homeschoolers in the state of Florida, and I do homeschool my kids, all four of them, ages preschool, first grade, third grade, and fifth grade. And yes, I'm gonna have a middle schooler next year. So let's get started right away with math. Now, for my third grader, I use Lessons for a Living Education. This is from Master Books, and I did not like this. Put it this way, when I tested him, he was at a second grade level after we had already used half of the book. He should have been at least halfway through third grade, but he wasn't. But we switched over to teaching textbooks, which his test scores went from a sixth grade level all the way up to a ninth grade level after using teaching textbooks. Loved him. Love teaching textbooks so much. I knew I was gonna love them so much that I did partner with them on a video, and I'm gonna stick that right up there as well. Now, I will add that we did put both of my older boys into a math game class at the co-op. It was once a week. It was just basically math games, but I did kind of outsource there. It was a great class. They loved it. It was card games. It was just a lot of fun. So I utilized my co-op big time. For my first grader, we used Make Math Meaningful, which was great. She went through the entire book, but she still was not ready for their second grade level. So we went back and we did another curriculum. And this was just a basic, workbook type. It was hardcore math. So we used the curriculum for my daughter, and she was just getting stuck. So we switched her over with thanks to Ashley at Joyful Noise Learning, who gave me this advice. I'm gonna stick a link to her video down below. It has revitalized our homeschool math with her, and she's actually now starting to learn mathematics, gaining that foundation, doing really well with it. We're only on lesson 39, 40, because we just recently switched. So we're gonna continue using that one throughout her second grade career. This is what it looks like right here. I'm gonna be honest with you though, it is very pricey. There's a lot of manipulatives, but when your child is struggling with math, sometimes you need something like this to just kind of push them over that hump. Not all kids are visual, not all kids are auditory, some are very kinesthetic, and that's how they learn, and that's how they need to learn, and I think this is definitely kinesthetic. But if you're interested in Right Start Math, I am gonna stick that link down below Ashley's video. Spelling! Okay, for my first grader, we used All About Spelling again, which this is the third time I've gone through this book. So incredibly effective. It uses the Orton-Gillingham approach, which is used for kids that have dyslexia. Now, testimony time, because I put both of my sons through this. And right now, both of them, I have decided not to do spelling with them for the upcoming year. And that is because when I tested them, they tested so high on spelling. And as a former teacher, I know that their spelling is solid. I don't feel like I need to do spelling with them anymore. But last year, I did work with them on Spelling Workout, which is these books right here. They definitely worn, lost the cover. You can tell we used them. I didn't see much of a pattern with this. It's very, very traditional, this curriculum, very traditional. Did not see a pattern, a building, kind of spiral pattern, building with these words. They would get their spelling lesson done, take their spelling test, and then they would forget the word. The words that they were missing weren't that big of a deal, but still, there wasn't a pattern to get that kind of foundation solid. Like, for example, learning root words, right? You want to learn like graph or the prefixes and suffixes. If you can get those down and the spelling of those down and the meaning of those down, you know when to spell them and when it's appropriate to or when it's not appropriate to, if that makes sense. Also, some of those spelling rules, like putting an E at the end of it to make the A say its name, those kind of things. There wasn't much of that in this book. Let me just show you. It's just easier to show you, right? Here is your vocabulary list right here. Do you see any similarities between those words? Difficult, tender, lengthy, sturdy, expensive, repaired, enormous journey, weary, tense. No, there's no theme running through it. It's just words on a page. And I think when kids are learning with themes, it's gonna stick more. So that's why spelling workout didn't really work with us. I felt like it was just busy work. So this one is a no for us. But this one is a yes. In fact, I started having my boys teach my first grader. So it was more of a review for them, but they still felt like they were taking on a leadership role, and they were kind of, the boss man, and it was, they were learning. It was my way of getting them to kind of review those rules. And of course, my preschooler, we're not doing spelling with, so. But what we are doing with her is lots and lots and lots of games and Play-Doh and fine motor skills. Now, she has Down syndrome, so we're not working with traditional preschool curriculum. We're trying to find stuff, really honestly, for 2 to 3-year-olds, which 3-year-olds, that's preschool. But we did use this book. This is age 2 and up, and it's a sticker book. And we're just putting the stickers there. We talked about colors. This is her little design she got to create, and she loves little stickers. Of course, I obviously have videos all about what I do with her to help her preschool. I'm gonna stick some iCards up there, links in the description box. Check those out if you're interested in those. Now, since I'm talking about language arts, I'm gonna touch on phonics. And phonics is huge when you're dealing with a first grader. We did a lot of stuff. First of all, we did outsource a little bit. We have her in a reading writing class at the co-op, which meets once a week. They have homework that goes along with it. This is just the stuff that I kept. I mean, everything from writing her letters to this was nice to have it outsourced. Always utilize those co-ops if you have one nearby. But at home, whenever she didn't have homework, we did work out of this book. Yes, we did The Good and the Beautiful Handwriting, which I actually really, really loved. I have not jumped in with both feet with Good and the Beautiful. I don't want to jump on the trendy bus. Little bit hesitant. I learned my lesson with master books. I want to go with stuff that I know and feel comfortable with, and I've seen work in action. But you know what? I'll be honest, this was great. She loved it too, so it wasn't just me. Of course, we got Explode the Code. I was always very hesitant about doing Explode the Code. I feel like this curriculum just it ties everything together. Of course, we do a lot of readers, everything from Bob books. I have some Abeka books, stuff at the library. I even have some books from Horizon that we had her read some stories from. But I love, okay, you can't see it because I really have used it. I don't even know what the book is called. We've used it so much. It's a Ordinary Parent's Guide to Reading. It's gonna be written right here. I don't remember what it's called, but we have used it a lot because it has helped me teach all of my kids how to read and love reading. It's short, simple, it's not fancy, it's not expensive, but it is effective. Also, for my first grader, before we really got into the reading with the reading of the books and the Ordinary Parent's Guide and the written workbooks, we did do just IEW PAL learning. Now this, I'm showing you this because this is going to have all the poems that it came with. We got the digital copy, so I don't have the hard copy with me. But it was great. It had poetry, it had writing, it taught them beginning steps of IEW, which I'm a huge IEW fan because it's so good. It's so good, and my kids love it. Not all kids love it. My kids love it. Now, I'm not going to use it for my youngest. I have decided that we're gonna take much more of a gentle approach to reading. It's just gonna totally look different for her. So make sure if you do have a child who has special needs or a learning disability to stick with me, because this is also about our journey as we're raising our daughter with Down syndrome. And one of my biggest, I guess it's a goal, I want to see her read, which I know she's totally capable of learning how to read, but I want to give her the tools and the resources so that she can read. And if that means I have to do a lot of digging and searching and experimenting, I am totally up for it. I'm gonna share all of that with you on this channel. As well as she's like super cute. Like, I'm just gonna be honest, she's like super cute and hilarious. She's fun. I think anybody who knows my channel, you can totally just comment below. I'm not bragging, it's just the truth. Since we're on to writing, I want to talk about how we once again did IEW. I said I was an IEW fan, but for my third grader, we did do Bible Heroes. Love, love, love this curriculum. Now for my fifth grader, we had pretty much gone through all of the IEW curriculum up to his age level. So I wanted to try something different. And some people were saying that writing and rhetoric was really, really good. I still like IEW more. They're very different. And it was good for him to kind of get another, I don't know, like another writing style, I guess. It was different. That's the only way to describe it. I have a whole video on comparing IEW and writing and rhetoric, and so you can watch that, sticking it up there, down there, you get the idea, right? Oh yeah, this is from Bible Heroes. We make like a cute little portfolio for them so they can keep it always, always. I will never, ever lose. And if I wasn't doing enough language arts, well, I'll just be honest, I started this and then quit it and went back to IEW. Like, I'm just gonna be honest, we did. Because I did, for a moment there, I got on the whole, let's do master books like everybody else train. I know master books is great for some people. It just did not work for our family. And we started these books, but we didn't finish them. We jumped back into IEW and writing and rhetoric and spelling workout. We actually jumped into a literature class at the co-op. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. Now let me talk about literature. We did put them in a literature class at the local homeschool co-op, and it was intense, I'm gonna be honest. Now the materials that they picked out, I wasn't too crazy about. I felt like they were a little bit more difficult. We had Bridge to Terabithia, they also had Hold Fast, I Am Malala, and they're actually on their way out. They're doing now Percy Jackson, the first book of that series. He's in third grade. I would not recommend Bridge to Terabithia. Well, I wouldn't recommend any of these to a third grader. My third grader is a little bit advanced, and so I felt like if I went ahead and let them continue, it would challenge them. It would open up some more questions. Now, we do come from a biblical worldview. I really struggled with this a lot internally, talked to my husband about it, and I just came down to the point that they need to be aware of different cultures, different literature. They need to learn how to ask questions. It's good to ask questions. I don't want to keep them in a bubble. And I felt like my boys were ready. Now, if it was my daughter, no. I mean, she's in first grade. I wouldn't put my daughter through, no. But I felt like they were ready. And it did pose a lot of questions. We did a lot of talking about Muslims, the Muslim faith, you know, what's going on over there in the Middle East. Now, we are Messianic, all right? So there is just this love for Israel, support for Israel. We love the Torah. We love Jewish traditions. There's a lot that we talked about. Let's put it that way. This book, it was hard for them because they could not really relate to the characters in this book. Same with Bridge to Terabithia. That one's just a really, really sad book. It was a tough one. I was mad at Bridge to Terabithia. I was mad at the book because I was like, why are you spending so much time? I'm not gonna run the ending for you, but I was mad at it. Would not recommend it for a third grader. Lesson learned. She's a great teacher though. Awesome teacher. And I probably still would put my kids through that class because we had some really good discussions. Now, I did mention we did a homeschool co-op. We have one on Friday that's kind of like a fun Friday type of deal. But the one that we actually pay for that's more intensive, they also took, my daughter, my youngest, she took sewing. She learned how to sew, still learning how to sew. She loves it. The first grader loves it. She also took a science class and, like I mentioned, the literature class as well. And she also sat in on the anatomy class that I teach. And I had her draw all her colors and anatomy pictures and do some cutouts with us whenever we had to. She would leave when we did dissections. That bothered her, and I knew she was not ready to see me dissect a pig's heart. No. Oh, we dissected a gallbladder, a cow liver with a gallbladder. That was really fun. I did teach, and had my kids in the class, I did teach a science class on basically chemistry. Of course, I will mention, before we did chemistry, we did work our way through this book. This is Answers in Genesis, okay? They are now working with master books. Now, I said I didn't really like master books, not a big fan of master books. However, this to me is not master books. It is Answers in Genesis that partnered with master books. Now, I did buy their digital curriculum for master books with Properties of Matter, and we've been going through this. Properties of Atoms and Molecules. Science is my heart and soul. Like, I love me some science. I love this curriculum too because I feel like you can add and take away. I think with any science, you can add and take away. If it doesn't work for you, you can always Pinterest it. This is supposed to be written for all levels. With the readings, you're gonna get a bunch of lessons. And each of those lessons, when you read through it, can be kind of advanced. With the younger kids, you know, for example, I'm gonna give you an example because examples are always better. This is the lesson on endothermic and exothermic reactions. Now you have words to know, you know, endothermic reaction, exothermic reaction, all right? When you read through this lesson, it can like make your brain explode, like no joke. It's pretty intense. However, as long as they know what endothermic and exothermic is for the younger kids, like the elementary school kids, we're good. We're good, in my opinion. And they really do stress that because when you go, of course you have a science experiment, and the one in blue is for the younger kids. Then you have the what did we learn? The what did we learn is going to be for the younger kids. Taking it further is going to be for your older kids, your middle school, maybe high school. All they ask is what is exothermic, what is endothermic? The other stuff, if they don't have it memorized, no big deal. So don't stress yourself out about that if you do decide to go with answers in Genesis. Of course, the green section is actually going to be for the older kids, and the younger kids, you don't have to read that to them unless they want to, because there are some elementary school kids that really like this kind of stuff. There's always some kind of experiment or activity in a lesson, and there's a lot of lessons. I mean, you're basically going through 3 books in a year. I mean, you don't have to go through 3 books, but the 3 books, each one has about 35 lessons in each of the books. So 3 times 35 is 105. And that could take you through a whole year if you do one a day-ish. But yeah, there's also a way that you can get some worksheets to go with it. It's great. I love this curriculum. I love it. I love answers in Genesis. Next, I want to talk about our history, which we like to use Truth Quest, and I love this because this is very Charlotte Mason, very gentle. I have a whole video on this too if you're interested in Truth Quest, but we went through beginnings. We started over. It's going to take you through ancient Egypt, to the Babylonians, to the Persians. It's great. But when you go through this, I'm going to be honest, the wording, like the little dialogue in the beginning, is very mature. And there was some theology in there that I did not actually agree with. When it came to American history for the elementary age, I felt comfortable with all of the theology. For the most part, there was some stuff in there, but nothing that really threw me off. There's some stuff I didn't agree with. So I ended up skipping through this and instead just reading the Bible. It makes sense, right? I mean, it's cool because it is a walk through ancient history side by side with the Bible. Now, you see, here's the thing. When I decided to do this, which we started doing this in January, I jumped in and started doing IEW ancient history with both of my boys alongside this. So now we're doing ancient history writing, ancient history reading and discussion, and then just reading the Bible on the side along with it. It was awesome. Now, when it comes to arts, all of my kids were involved with something. Arts and music and, you know, all that stuff. My 2 boys were in an art class with an amazing art teacher. He's a professional artist. He is not only his teaching, he has become a role model for my kids. My boys also take a PE class at the Homeschool Co-op where they, you know, it's basically getting them out there and running and doing some group sports with some other kids. They also go to another co-op on Friday, which is just kind of like a fun Friday. They're doing some woodworking as well as some science classes with inventions, and it's just, they're having a blast. It's awesome. My 3rd grader is actually getting involved with a band at our congregation. He's learning the drums. He also plays piano. All of my kids play piano, so I have a rule in my house that they have to play an instrument. And I have an app that I use. It's called Simply Piano. Now, I don't just use this app. I have gotten some books to teach my kids some warm-ups. I used to teach piano. I used to teach music in the classroom, so I kind of have a good idea of some good techniques that I can work with them on. But they have to learn piano and they have to practice it every day. This app is kind of like their free time app. They do have pieces that they learn from this app. For example, for Elise, which I know I showed you, my son is learning minuet in G. And my other son is learning Chopin, the warm-ups, and then of course, simply piano. My daughter is also learning this as well. She knows how to play Baby Shark. But no, she can play some other stuff too, like Hot Cross Buns, and she's beginning to learn like, Twinkle Twinkle Little Stars and Ode to Joy, those kind of songs. So yeah, she's not just learning Baby Shark. But my daughter is also involved with a choir at our congregation as well as a dance team. She also takes dance class. My youngest, my preschooler, is in therapy 7 sessions a week, and that's everything from occupational therapy to physical therapy to aqua therapy to speech therapy. She also is in a dance class, which is like, she loves it. I think that her language is going to be music and dance, and I'm not kidding. That about sums up our year. I think it was a good year. I know they made some improvements. Now, if you guys do have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe. I told you that. This is our journey as a homeschool family of 4 kids, and also helping you, encouraging you, giving you tips, because honestly, it's not easy being a homeschool mom, and if you're a mom of a special needs child, it is not easy being a mom of a special needs child, let alone if you homeschool. So until then, I'm gonna stick some videos around my face, and I will see you guys in our next video. Bye.